and we'll bring it back to the House next week.
Called Grant Robertson.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker, and I am pleased to be able to rise to support this bill because, as my colleague Darian Fenton said, this is a bill that is about a group of workers, vulnerable workers actually, who look after vulnerable people, getting a fair deal. And it's a fair deal that's been a long time coming. It has been a very long time coming, and I want to pay tribute to all of the workers, all of them, 30,000 of them, around this country who provide support in our communities for some of the most vulnerable people in our communities. This is the kind of work that gives people dignity and respect in their lives. And we owe dignity and respect to the people who work with those who get these services and to the people who receive these services. And finally tonight, Mr Speaker, we are making some progress on getting there. I want to pay tribute to Phil Dixon, in whose name the case was taken. I also want to pay tribute to the other workers who I also met, along with many other MPs, who told me about the work that they do. And I've always felt, Mr Speaker, that it was wrong in many ways to call this a sleepover case. Because actually, a sleepover sounds like the kind of thing that Paul Quinn does when he goes to Simon Bridges' house at the weekends, and they have a slumber party and a sleepover. Well, that's actually not what this is at all, Mr Speaker. This is work. These are people going to work who deserve to be paid fairly for being at work. And there is no way that being paid the equivalent of $3.77 an hour, which is the situation as it stands today, is a fair pay for the work that has been done here. It is not a sleepover. It is people being interrupted in the middle of the night to toilet, to turn people over, to actually be there as carers. These are people who are providing a lifeline. They are providing dignity. They are providing respect. They are at work, Mr Speaker, and that is why they deserve to be paid the minimum wage. And in fact, in my opinion, I would like to see care workers and community support workers in New Zealand paid a lot more than the minimum wage if we can make that happen, because they play such an important part in making sure that vulnerable people, elderly New Zealanders, get the support and care that they need. They are an important part of what gives our society some morality, how we look after people who are in their old age or who are vulnerable. Mr Speaker, in addition to Phil Dixon and paying tribute to him and the other community support workers, I want to pay tribute to the Service and Food Workers Union, the union from which Darian Fenton came before she came to Parliament. I want to pay tribute to them because it's their stickability that has meant that this case has gone through. This is a triumph for unions. This is a triumph for collective action in the workplace. It is the actions and the stickability of the Service and Food Workers Union that means this is here tonight. It's not Dr Hutchison who should be taking credit. It's actually the Service and Food Workers Union and the people, the workers that they represent, who take the credit for tonight, because they stuck at it as the government pushed this through the Court of Appeal, appealed again and again to stop people getting what they deserve, to stop people getting fair wages for a fair night's pay. So the people who are to be congratulated here are the workers and their union. And it shows to me, Mr Speaker, that in New Zealand society, strong unions are important, because in this case, strong unions have delivered to us good outcomes, a good outcome for these workers. And that is the unions and that is the workers that have done that. And on this side of the House, Mr Speaker, we are proud that we stand up every single day for the rights of working people and for unions. That's what we do on this side of the House. On the other side of the House, they denigrate unions on a daily basis. We sat in this House and had people on that side of the House call unions hobbit haters. Well, tonight, I want to hear from some national MPs some congratulations to the Service and Food Workers Union for standing up for their members, for standing up for what was right, rather than the usual diatribe we get from the National Party about how unions are the harbingers of evil. Well, this is proof positive tonight, Mr Speaker, that in this House we can stand up and support unions for what they have done to make sure that workers get a fair deal, that workers get fair pay for their work. So, Mr Speaker, I am proud to be able to support this bill. I am proud to be able to say that at the end of this process, people who look after some of the most vulnerable people in our community will be paid fairly. When Labor's elected to government, what they'll be getting is $15 an hour, not just $13 an hour, and that'll be a great step forward for them, Mr Speaker. I look forward to seeing this bill come to the Select Committee, and we will know at the end of this that we will make sure that people who have looked after these vulnerable members of our community get some back pay, as Darian Fenton says, not as much as they might, but a good amount of back pay and some certainty going forward that they get fair pay, and that is the right thing to do.
Well, Catherine Delahunty.